Welcome to Shorty Supercoach. We're taking a look at the Blues today. Going to take a look at the lock, the risk, breakout contender, a bloke who's no chance for my side this year. And I tell you what, I'm struggling. He's pulled up pretty poor from Gold Coast, I must admit. I don't know if you can tell in my voice or not, but I woke up today, which is Tuesday, just absolute trash. First day back at work was not too bad on the Monday, and then Tuesday woke up with a sore throat. I've just been at the airport and I'm thinking, Jesus. So I went and got the test and fingers crossed I get it back on Wednesday. I'm sure I'll be fine. I think it's got less to do with being in the airport and more to do with being in the clubs back to back nights. But anyway, there's a little update. Let's take a look at the lock. And for me, it's pretty straightforward. And just on Carlton, they are a team on the rise, I feel. So I find these sides quite exciting to take a look at because there's some teams that you either think are going to struggle or some teams where we know who the guns are and we know that we have to pay a price for them and you know what you're going to get. Where there's a few guys in here that could go either way and could represent some value. Equally, they could hurt us. But I've got Paddy Cripps as the lock. Not everyone will agree with that, but he was in my 5 must-haves. The first video I did about a week ago. Averaged 97.5 last year, but he just seemed like he was struggling in terms of his body. Like he was just had a massive load to carry. In the end, Sammy Walsh picked up a fair bit of the slack too, but Cripps just didn't seem right. There's no statistical sort of evidence to say why. I think he was just a bit sore, a few niggles. And I don't reckon the game style in terms of shorter quarters helped him that much either. But previously to last year's average, he averaged 117 and a touch under 120. So this is a guy who's one of the best players in the competition, contested beast. I think to get him at that sort of price range, he's a lock in my side. Now, the risk, I found this one tough to find and put a finger on it, but I've gone Adam Sard, and I just feel like he's a guy that when we're scrolling through Supercoach, we just get a little bit excited when we see a guy like him because we think running, bounces, goals, beautiful left foot kicks. But I'm not sure he does it often enough. Now, last year, I must admit, I didn't realise he averaged so well. I mean, he averaged 97.9. But the rest of his career, his averages are mainly in the 70s. And no higher than 82. So we got to be a little bit worried. He goes from the Bombers now to the Blues, which I think he'll still have a really good season. But there are a few other guys in there, like, say, a Doherty. Is Newman back? I can't remember. But there's quite a few halfback flankers. I know Petrevski-Seton's played that sort of a role before. There's lots of guys that just play that halfback role for the Blues. And nonetheless, I think if Sard was a Bomber, I'd still be saying, steer clear because I just don't think we can bank on him. I think he's a guy that may have just had a fantastic averaging year, but there's way better options that is far less risky. Wouldn't surprise me if he just dropped back to an average in the early 90s, maybe in the 80s. So I just think it's risky. Tempting, but risky for mine. Breakout contenders, again, I found this one tough. There weren't a stack of young guys that really stood out to me and said, yeah, they're going to break out and really become superstars. And maybe I'm breaking my own rule here, but Zach Williams, you sort of go, breakout? This bloke's been a star for years. Yes, I know, but a breakout contender is probably, we think about a guy that's young and about to establish himself, but it can also just be, in a pure numbers sense, someone who lifts their average by 15 to 20 points. I mean, that's what a breakout is. And that's what I think Williams can do. Averaged 85 last year, but prior to that, we've seen him average 101 and 93. And it's worth noting, he's going to go to Carlton. He's going to play midfield time. We saw him do that to great effect as the Giants went on their run to the grand final in 2019. His last 15 games in that year, he averaged... I've lost my numbers. He averaged 106. I know it's probably not exactly when he made that shift, but roughly, you all remember it, I'm sure. He just dominated even centre clearances. Like he Probably didn't realise how good a clearance player he was, but he was electric, a smooth mover, a really nice touch and feel kick. So I think even though he averaged 85 last year, it was a tough year, had some injuries. I see him lifting his average by 15 points and quite easily. I think high 90s is about the bottom end for me with Williams. If he's injury free, I can see him averaging anywhere from 102 to sort of 106, 107. I'm pretty up and about with Zachy Williams. He'll be one of the first pick for me. And I just want to throw Sam Walsh in there too. And look, he averaged 101 last year. It's not like I'm saying he's going to average 120, but this bloke could be anything. I mentioned Hugh McCluggage in the Lions one the other day, and Walsh is about the same because he's a young talent, highly rated, had an amazing start to his career, and that 101 could be anything in the next few years. And you just got to look at the back end of last year, or even most of it. Rounds 1 to 5 last year, averaged 75.2. Rounds 6 to 18, 111.6. And the only real blemish was a 52 against the Hawks. Otherwise, he was just Mr. Consistent with the odd big one. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I'd expect him to increase that average. By no means am I saying pick him because, you know, he's priced at a price where he basically needs to average 110, like you're picking him to keep him all season. I'm not sure he can do that. I think at one stage in his career, he definitely will. But you'd be ballsy to go with him, but I just wanted to slip him in there because I think he's a guy that we'll see be an absolute Supercoach star for many years. And it could start this year, but we'll have to wait and see. No chance for my side. I'll put down Sam Doherty. And look, there's a lot of promising guys at the Blues, and so it's hard to say too many are absolutely no chance. But I think Doherty just wasn't the same player last year. And a bit of that is to do, well, I felt it was a bit to do with there were a lot of other options to exit defence. Back when he was averaging those huge numbers, 108, 114, yeah, he was the guy. You remember watching those games? He'd just pick it off. He'd be the handball receive. He'd take every kick in. Wasn't always the case last year. And he did seem to be a slightly different player physically. As you would imagine, he missed 2 full years. He's had a wretched run with injury. He still averaged 92.3, but I think I just wanted to put it out there because some people will see Doherty, 92.3, wow, he could average 100. I'm not saying he couldn't average 100, but I just think it's super risky. I think we've seen Doherty's best football. He's missed so much footy. It's going to be risky. I just don't think he was the same player that we'd seen previously. And I reckon by the end of the year, we were probably a touch disappointed with his output. But he was solid, not what we expected. But I wouldn't be going near him this year, even though on what he's done previously, he represents a bit of value. But we've always got to be mindful, you know, just because a guy has averaged this doesn't mean he always gets back to it, particularly when he gets to this age and particularly when he suffered a lot of injuries. So just want to put that one out there. But that sums it up for the Blues. I'll be back probably in a day or so with another club preview, and I'll also be doing some Supercoach talk stuff, which will be my stuff as well, but I'm just liaising with them at the moment about content I can do for them and myself. So, yeah, if you haven't checked them out, go take a look at their website. And, yeah, if you've got any requests about videos you'd like to see, I'm probably still a couple of weeks away from the player profiles, but by all means, if someone's on your mind, you know, let me know. I might be able to mention them in their club one. So let me know what you think. Thanks for your support, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.